You listen to these questions and then you listen to the answer. There is no conclusion other than the fact that he knew of the statements of financial condition. Plain and simple. He happens to be a defendant. He is a co-defendant in this New York Attorney General case. He is listed up there with Daddy. He's listed there with dopey brother Eric.
That's Michael Cohen on the disastrous testimony given by Don Jr. and Eric Trump this week, the fifth week of the New York Attorney General's civil fraud trial. Eric and Don Jr. could not have done any worse at all. And now Donald Trump is set to testify next week. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and I co-host the show Political Beatdown with Michael Cohen. We also host Mea Culpa here on the MeidasTouch Network. There's a new RSS feed in blue for the Mea Culpa show. By the way, make sure you subscribe to both Mea Culpa and Political Beatdown on the MeidasTouch Network. I want to show you my discussion with Michael Cohen where he analyzes the testimony provided by Don Jr. and Eric, and he explains why it's so devastating. Here, play the clip.
You know, what's crazy is they're not now going to be able to turn around and to say, oh, he was referring to Michael Cohen. He's referring. It just goes to show you the crazy thing. How many times when I was on that stand did Chris Kise turn around and call me a perjurer, a liar, a serial liar? Truth be told, they're all fucked up, all three of them, to be honest with you. But Chris Kise is the worst of them all because he's actually the only one out of the three who actually has legitimate experience to be sitting at that table. And for whatever the reason is, what is he doing? He's playing to a party of one. Nothing would make me happier than to see Engoron sanction that scumbag. Sanction him for doing exactly what his boss was doing, and that's all they're doing. They're playing to a party of one. It is absolutely gross. And one of the things that happened in the morning session with Don Jr., or maybe it happened yesterday, the prosecutors for the New York Attorney General's case, Colleen Faraday, she pulled out a document which is like a slap in the face document to Don Jr., who basically stated, it's not what he does. It's not what his role was at the Trump organization, et cetera, et cetera. But they brought out this document, and I want to read from, there's a Newsweek article. Salty, if you have it, I would ask you to put it up. But during Trump Jr.'s cross-examination, prosecutors presented a document dated January 15th of 2021 that showed the former president reinstating himself as trustee of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, according to a report that came from Adam Klasfeld, who's been there day in and day out during this trial, who, by the way, happens to be a correspondent for The Messenger. And the interesting thing about this document is, what does it show? It shows that Donald Trump clearly knew that he lost the election because as president, he could not be operating his company, which now was in the control over by the revocable trust. So this then goes ahead and it destroys the entire series of lies that they kept putting out there, that Donald thought that he won the election. He was going to fight in order to prove that he had won the election. Instead, he basically knew that he had lost, wanted to take back over his company because what else did he have left, right? And went ahead and had the document signed to take over control over the revocable trust. It is a damning document, to say the least. But just going back to Don Jr. for a second, who claimed that his role had really nothing to do, that he was more of a real estate broker. It's funny. Don Jr. is the real estate broker. Eric Trump is the one that pours concrete. I can't wait to hear what Ivanka has to say that her role is. And you may know that Ivanka had filed now an appeal in order to prevent her from having to testify, claiming that New York does not have jurisdiction over her. More importantly, the fact that she had nothing to do with the company and that therefore her testimony would be irrelevant. I mean, it's truly spectacular. But you know what? Whether or not Ivanka testifies, truth be told, is irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. There's so much documentation, as Judge Engoron stated, it would fill up that courtroom. And none of it is good for Donald. You listen to these questions and then you listen to the answer. There is no conclusion other than the fact that he knew of the statements of financial condition. Plain and simple. He happens to be a defendant. He is a co-defendant in this New York Attorney General case. He is listed up there with Daddy. He's listed there with dopey brother Eric. He is not listed there with Ivanka because at the time that they have this during the time period, Ivanka was special advisor or senior advisor to the president, right? Doing whatever the hell it was that she was doing, mostly posting pictures on Instagram of her with her kids at the White House and so on. I mean, yay, fucking fabulous that we should all be paying for that. But put that shit aside anyway. There are a slew of people who are named as co-defendants, including Don Jr. and Eric. Now, it's comical that they held titles of executive vice presidents. Both Don, Ivanka, and Eric had the same, all three of them had the same title for development. That's what they were. They were in charge of developments, yet one of them has no idea technically what he was doing. The other one, he was a broker, and he does have a broker's license that I happen to know, but that wasn't his job. They did that for whatever the hell the reasons were. And then the other brother, who actually also has his broker's license here in New York, but more importantly, he pours concrete. And I keep making fun of it because it is comical. He couldn't pour quickset. He's an idiot. This is not what he did for the company. And the fact that these are things that you can say to a court, and you don't have, for example, the prosecutors jumping up the way Chris Kaiser, Cliff Robert, and Alina Habba, screaming at the witness, which I was a little disappointed that Engoron gave them a lot of latitude to do that. I don't see anybody jumping up screaming, "You're a serial liar. You're a liar. We should bring a perjury charge." I do hope to God that they do. I do hope that they finally bring a perjury charge. These two are sitting in the witness stand under the penalties of perjury because they took the same oath that I did to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And what did they do? The same thing that dirtbag Daddy did, and that was lie to the judge immediately. It didn't take Donald more than a minute before which he lied to the judge. And it didn't take these two too much time either before they lied to the judge. There should be perjury charges brought immediately on all three of them. Plain and simple. You want to turn around and start playing, the victim? Play the victim. What they are, not victims, they're fucking liars.
And there was Michael Cohen just telling it how it is. And Michael Cohen, of course, testified in that case. He knows a thing or two about that case, and it's an honor to have him here on the MeidasTouch Network. You can check out his Patreon at patreon.com/politicalbeatdown if you ever wanted to meet Michael Cohen, ask him questions directly. Check it out there, patreon.com/politicalbeatdown, and have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.